A game that I'm not going to be playing is Call of Duty Black Ops 6.
This podcast is hardly focused.
Ah, the French.
Call of Duty, I mean, that's unfortunately something that is going to continue to exist, I think, as long as we are alive. There's franchises like Dragon Age, which, as you mentioned, took 10 years to get a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Call of Duty, where we get a new one every year.
Yeah, it's always fascinating to me, things like that. It's like NCIS, right? Where it's like, or Young Sheldon. The new Call of Duty has broken records for pre-orders on Steam. I don't personally know a single person who plays Call of Duty games, much like I don't know any of the 70 billion people who weekly watched Young Sheldon, like, and made it the most watched TV show on the planet. Like, it's a fact, like, who... Is this an alternate reality? Where are these people? I've never heard from them. I've never spoken to them. I've never met them. I'm just fascinated by like how these massively popular things can exist completely outside my social circle and my realm of understanding.
With Call of Duty too, I like the naming convention where they just like, it's been very confusing over the last few years because they did Modern Warfare again. So now we have two sets of, Modern Warfare 2, etc. Black Ops became a reboot. Now they're just like, no, it's Black Ops 6. Like they're not gonna bother coming up with a clever subtitle. They're just gonna say, nah, it's 6.
Yeah.
But now an issue that we're facing now with games is that, they take so long to develop, and that's largely because the developers are trying to make them look visually stunning. They're trying to one up everyone else around them. Mm-hmm. And the conundrum being, when you install the game, you see the file size.
Yeah.
And now it's not uncommon for a AAA release to be over 100 gigs in size.
Yep.
Which is, in my opinion, unnecessary.
Yeah, that's bananas.
I'm thinking back to the days of my 8 megabit PlayStation 2 memory card, like getting a 20 gig hard drive for my Xbox 360 and thinking I had all the space in the world.
Right.
So Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is going to be so big that it's going to require an internet connection to play even the single player campaign. And that is because of the assets, the textures in the game. It's so big that they can't even fit all of that on the disc. They can't even fit all of it into a single download. They could, but you'd have to buy like a whole new system plus external storage.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if this is including what's going to be streamed through an internet connection or total or what, but the total size is going to be 300 gigs.
So that was actually disproven.
Really?
Yeah, it was actually announced shortly before we started recording this episode that that number got thrown out there and is not accurate. And for the console versions of the game anyway, the 300 plus gig storage requirement, whatever it's going to be, will be confirmed closer to the game's release date in October. So the PC version will be 149 gigs if you don't already have Call of Duty HQ and the Warzone multiplayer, the Battle Royale version. I've only played it a couple times, but if you don't have those installed, 149 gig because it's going to include those two components. If you already have them installed, then we're looking at 78 gig, which is sadly the standard now for a AAA game, between like 50 and 80 gig. Now, it very well could be 310 gig when it comes out. And that's their way of justifying having to do this texture streaming, as they're calling it. But just the fact that like we need to do that shouldn't happen.
Right. And a lot of people have already been extremely upset by this trend of single player games requiring an internet connection in order to work, because these are, it doesn't seem like it should be necessary for every single game to require a live service.
Right. I mean, gone are the days of just plugging in the cartridge, firing up the game, and having that be it. That, playing all these old Sega Dreamcast games that I've been doing quite legally. You know what I've been doing? Loading up the game and going into it. And there's only little time spent waiting for it to load. Going back to now, if you ask this gentleman, if what do I do? I want to play this new game coming out, but I don't have internet. What do I do in that scenario?
It's a great line for games.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think people are going to love it, and then they're going to understand what we're trying to create and how it links games and entertainment, the functionality of the box, some of the advantages that you get of having a box that is designed to use an online state. So that, to me, is a future-proof choice, and I think people could have arguably gone the other way if we didn't do it, and fortunately we have a product for people who aren't able to get some form of connectivity. It's called Xbox 360.
Right. So stick with 360. That's your message. If you don't, like it.
If you have zero access to the internet, that is an offline device. I mean, seriously, when I read the blogs and thought about who's really the most impacted, there was a person who said, hey, I'm on a nuclear sub, and I don't even know what it means to be on a nuclear sub, but I've got to imagine that it's not easy to get an internet connection.
Don Matrick, you stupid asshole.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, that was the guy who is largely responsible for the Xbox One's botched introduction in 2013, and him. I mean, remember that system itself was supposed to require a persistent internet connection. And then he left shortly after the announcement because he had all but annihilated with a nuclear bomb the public relations aspect of Microsoft and Xbox, and then he's gone, and then all of a sudden, hey, guess what? The Xbox One doesn't require a persistent internet connection.
Yep.
Go ruin Zynga, you fool, with your bad haircut.
Nice.
So, I will not be playing Call of Duty. I think the last time I played Call of Duty was the remaster of the original Modern Warfare. But it's just, I mean, those... It just never interested me. I never had any interest in the
it doesn't really hold much appeal to me.
There was this kid who didn't like it.
Okay, I've been playing fucking Call of Duty for fucking 17 hours straight. I fucking hate Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
That kid was so mad that he punched a wall and then broke every bone in his hand doing so.
Oh God!
But he made it a point to record himself doing this while having just a meltdown.
I'm fucking upset. I've got milk on my fucking lips because I don't give a shit. I just like